Welcome everyone to Regular Expressions class. If you look at the event title, you can see that the title actually matches the string regular expression class, and we'll be going over everything shortly so that you understand why is there a Q at the end? What is this plus symbol doing? What is the other symbols doing? And hopefully you'll understand why the title of this class is very funny and why Alex said it wasn't a funny joke, but it is actually a very funny joke once we get to later in the class. So the topics that we're going to cover is, first we're going to talk about what is a regular expression. And the second topic is going to be, OMG, all these symbols are confusing. What do pipe and parenthesis and dot and star and plus mean? How to use capture groups. How to make non-capturing groups and why you might want to. Lazy versus greedy quantifiers and why you probably want to use lazy most of the time. How to read the docs to remember how to use Lookaround because you're not going to remember the syntax. Seriously, it will not happen, and if it does, you shouldn't trust that you have it right and look it up anyway. And finally, SingleLine and MultiLine in AWB. So the first topic is, what is a regular expression? So the word cat is a regular expression. That needs to be very well understood. So if I am going to search for the regular expression cat in the word catastrophe, you can see the first three letters here match. We're going to do everything on this website called regex101.com. There will be a link to it in the video description if you're watching the recording, and if you're watching live right now, I just posted a link in the chat. This is one of the best websites for learning regular expressions. It doesn't necessarily teach you, but it helps you learn interactively by matching regular expressions against a bunch of test strings. So if I make another string here called cat, we can see that it doesn't match. And if I do another line called with cat 4 times like this, it's going to match here 4 times. And then when you hover it, you get a bunch of nice little information about it. So cat is a regular expression. This regular expression is first looking for the character C, and then it's looking for the character A, and then it's looking for the character T. If any part of this is missing, it's not going to match anymore, okay? So you need to have C followed by A followed by T. This can happen anywhere in the string, but you can't have letters in the middle, okay? So we're not allowing anything special to happen right now. We're just looking for the literal string CAT. And I'm going to use this phrase quite a bit when I say the literal string or the literal character. For example, if we put a period here, suddenly this is going to match any character, because in regular expressions, periods have a special meaning. If we wanted to look for a string that has a period in it, for example, CA dot, like this, then we're going to have to escape it. And once you escape a character that has a special meaning, the special meaning character becomes the literal character that's here, okay? So once again, a literal character means what you see here, okay? You see a C, you see an A, that means C and A. You see a dot, that has a special meaning, okay? How do you know if a character has a special meaning or not? If it's highlighted in blue on regex101.com, it has a special meaning, okay? That's really the best way to learn, because for example, if I type an exclamation point here, the exclamation point has no special meaning, okay? But question mark does. So it's going to take a while for you to remember what has a special meaning and what doesn't have a special meaning, and eventually you'll just memorize them all. But until you get to the point where you have memorized them all and you're very comfortable with looking at a string and saying, okay, this has a regular expression. Sorry, a string is a series of characters, okay? So CA exclamation point question mark, this is a string with 4 characters. At character 1, character 2, character 3, character 4, right? CA is also a string. C is also a string, okay? So a string is like anything that you type here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, also a string. This happens to be a number too, but in this case, a string is a series of characters, okay? It's anything that you type here. Anything you type here that has a result, right? Like pressing the control key isn't going to do anything. So the control key isn't a character, right? But a character is anything that shows up in the text box when you type it. So In this in this string that's made up of characters, we have some characters that are the literal character that we see here that we type, and some of them have special meanings. Anytime you have a character with a special meaning, if you want the literal character instead, you can type a backslash before it. What if you want to see a backslash in your output? Then you can escape the backslash too. Okay, so if in our test string we have a backslash here, we could also type one here to make it match. This is the literal character backslash. And again, you can highlight anything on Regex 101. This isn't an advertisement, I promise. This is just the best site for testing regular expressions. So what is a regular expression? A regular expression is a string of characters, some of which have special meanings in the regular expression syntax. So that might feel a little bit like a cop-out answer, because what is a regular expression? Well, it's something that has regular expression characters in it. But it's actually very important to understand that a regular expression is literally just a string, okay? It's not like you don't have to write a whole bunch of coding logic or programming or anything to write a regular expression. All you have to do is write a string, and suddenly you've already written a regular expression. So any string you want, that's a regular expression. It's just that sometimes it might have a different meaning than you'd expect if you aren't sure what the characters do. There are some strings that are invalid regular expressions, like if I just type a star here. Okay, this is a pattern error. I would say this is still a regex. It's just an invalid one. So yeah, so we will be dealing exclusively with things where it doesn't say that there's an error here. Okay, so the next topic that we're going to go over is OMG, all these symbols are confusing. What do pipe and parenthesis and dot and star and plus mean? Okay, so there's some characters have special meanings, right? If we write, whoops. Okay, so if we put a dot here for where the T would be, we can see that this is matching here. So why is dot matching T? What happens if we write a dot here? Well, okay, that's matching again. And I can continue going here and replacing one letter at a time with the character dot. And I guess you can read what it says on the screen to give away the answer. But a dot matches any character. A line terminator is basically, if I have my cursor here at the end of catastrophe and then I press right arrow, it goes to the next line. This is a character. I'm tabbing or I'm pressing the arrow keys to navigate before and after a character right now. And that character is a new line. There's a little bit of complexity here with the idea of new lines. New lines in Windows are a little bit different from new lines in Unix systems. If you remember typewriters, maybe you don't remember typewriters, but if you know hypothetically what a typewriter does, you type letters and maybe you type catastrophe, right? And then you want to type to the next line. So what do? First, you make the character go home and then you make it go down a line. Okay, so on a computer, that's one character, right? One character to move your cursor from the end of the previous line to the start of the new line. But on a typewriter, it's two different things, one to go home and one to go down. So that go home is called a carriage return, and carriage return is the keyword here. Return is R. Okay, so new line is represented by /n, and a carriage return is represented by /r. And on a typewriter, you would have to return the carriage to the home, right? Bring the carriage is like the thing that's printing the ink onto the paper. So you would first have to go home with /r, and then you can make a new line with /n. So knowing that history about the typewriter may sound like a useless tangent, but it's actually important to know why things are called how they are, because then you know what they're doing without having to remember a random mnemonic device. So /r is for carriage return, /n is for new line. And depending on if you're matching a regular expression that was like if your string was generated on a Unix system, then you can just look for /n, and that will get you to that'll match a new line. If it was written on a Windows system, then you're going to have to look for /r/n. And an easy way to get around this if you aren't sure which system it is to write /r !/n, because /r might not exist. So if you put a question mark, then that character is optional. For example, in the title of the class today, we have regular expression class Q question mark. So there's not a Q at the end of the word class, but because we put a question mark after it, we're allowed to say that. Okay, so a question mark is any optional character. Okay, so let's go back to the word cat, and I can write Q. I can put a lot of Q's here. And each one of them is optional. So there's no cat with any number of Q's after it here, but the cats are still matching because we put a question mark after the Q. Okay. A question mark can also modify a dot, so that's valid. It's going to try to match a dot if it can. So here so let me change this to cat to show a little bit better. So here the dot is a space because dot can match a space. Dot can match a space, dot can match a new line, dot can match a carriage return, dot can match any letter, it can match any number, it can match any special character, it can match a 0 with space if there's a 0 with space in the output. Hopefully there's not, because hopefully no one ever uses 0 with spaces, but you know, it happens. So a dot is anything, and if you put dot and then question mark, it will attempt to match it. And so here we are selecting the A, here we are selecting the space, here we are selecting the S because I spelled catastrophe wrong. And here there's nothing, so we are allowed to select the word cat with nothing else because we put this question mark here. So it tries to if it can, but if it can't, that's okay, and it'll still be blue. So the next symbol that we're going to talk about is a star. So let's put a star here. And this one just got selected. So what's up with that? So a star, and I'm going to add one more. I'm going to write CT here. Okay. So star means something that is repeated 0 or more times. Okay. And that 0 is very important. It can happen 0 times. So CA star T is going to match CT. And CA star T is also going to match CAT, and it's going to match CAT, and it matches CAT, okay? So star 0 or more times. And what happens if we don't have the T here? You can see it's going to match as much as possible, okay? So like if we had just CAAA, then it's going to pick 3 A's. We have more A's, it's going to match more A's. As many A's as we put here, it's going to match them all. And I'll come back to this behavior of trying to match as much as possible in a bit. That's going to be 3 topics from now, I think. But for now, star just consumes, okay? Star is very hungry, but it's willing to not be there. And you can put, star can modify a dot. So if I put CQQQT, we're going to match again because the dot can match, it can be A, it can match Q. And then what happened over here? Okay, so it was CAT, and now it's CATAST. So it's actually going as far as it can before it finds another T. Because here we're saying it has to start with C, and then capture as much as you possibly can, and then find a T. So what's as much as it possibly can here? It's the C with all of the A's and then the T. Here it's C with all the Q's and the T. Here it's CAT. And here you could have found CAT, but you can also find CATAST. And because star is so hungry, it's so greedy, it wants to get all of the characters, it wants to nom all of the characters that it possibly can in between CATAST, and it's going to eat the entire start of this word right now. Okay, and that may have been a little bit surprising because when we had an A here, we were just getting CAT. And then when we changed this to a dot, we went a lot farther, okay? And I think I'm actually going to talk about lazy versus greedy now because it's a good segue. So what if we wanted to avoid having it eat the entire thing? What if we wanted to get just cat here from the first occurrence of the T after the C? Okay, so I'm going to put a question mark here. And then suddenly the AST is gone. So what's going on now? And I'm going to delete the T. And okay, now it's just selecting C. Okay, so what on earth is happening here? So this is greedy versus lazy selectors, okay? If you put a question mark after a star, okay, so right now I want you to see that star question mark is one single element here, okay? So the dot is highlighted because it's like a special character. It's always gonna, okay, I wish it wouldn't highlight like that, but it's going to highlight like this. Okay, so the dot is one unit, and the dot is saying this is the character that we're about to match. And then how are we modifying the dot? We're modifying the dot with star question mark, okay? Star question mark is a single entity though, okay? It's not star and then question mark, it's star question mark. And star question mark means lazy quantifier 0 or more times. So what's a lazy quantifier 0 or more times? Well, it's actually going to be as few characters as possible. So it's going to match nothing here. Because we're not making any requirements about what has to come after this. And so it's going to say, okay, so I found the letter C. So everything starts with a C here. And then I see that I'm going to have to match 0 or more characters. I'm going to try not to do anything. Can I get away with not doing anything? Oh, there's nothing after the lazy quantifier. Great, I get to be lazy. And then it's not going to match anything else, and you're only going to get the C output. But then if we put a T here, you're saying, okay, well, you found the C. Now you're going to find 0 or more characters, and you're going to match as few as possible because you're very lazy and you don't want to do a lot of work. You don't want to match as many things. But then I'm forcing you to find a T afterwards. So what's the shortest segment that you can possibly pick up that has 0 or more characters in it, followed by a T? And in the answer here, there's no T before here, so it's going to have to pick up the entire string. Same here with the Q. And then, but with catastrophe, where it has the two T's, one here and one here, we no longer have to pick up this part because we're being lazy, okay? And the question mark is being lazy. So we're going to have C followed by as few characters as possible, followed by T. And then we get CAT here. Okay, so let's go back to having the A here. So CAT and okay, so what did I? Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. Let's go back to having the greedy modifier, and then we'll go back to having the A. So if we have C A star T, right? We are selecting cat, and doesn't match because this doesn't have an A in it, and cat matches. Okay. But if we have cat here, we might, this is probably like what we're expecting to match, okay? We would probably just like want cat here. But then maybe we're looking for like any English word that matches, that's like one syllable and goes CAT. So like cast is okay, and cut is okay, and caught is okay, and cost is okay. So like we want to match all of these words. And maybe, I don't know, let's say coast is fine too, but we wouldn't want to, we just want to get like the start of the word. So maybe like coasted, we just want to find like C to T here, okay? And then in catastrophe, we're going to want to do the same thing here, okay? So in all of these, what we want to do is we want to get like the minimum part of the string that has characters between C and T, because we're making some crossword puzzle clue or something. So we look at this word set and we're like, okay, well, I found cat here, but for these other letters, for these other words, how can I get the characters between C and T? And then you might think, okay, well, I'm just going to change this A to a dot here. But then you're actually like messing with the results in catastrophe, because the presence of this T here changes if the first syllable can be selected. Like it changes whether it's the first syllable or the first two syllables. So we sort of have something out of bounds of this CAT area that ends up getting selected because we decided to use a greedy quantifier. But if we make it be a lazy quantifier, if we start out with CA lazy quantifier T, then we have the first syllable here and we're not matching anything here, and we're like, okay, we have to change it to a dot. And this retains giving us just CAT inside of catastrophe, and this extra T over here is not having any effect on what we're doing, because we said pick the smallest amount possible. So you can't add characters after the fact and affect the part of it that you're selecting. So defaulting to a lazy quantifier, it might look a little bit more complicated because, again, like these two characters are one single unit. Star question mark is one single unit, and that's a little weird. We have two special characters that are being evaluated as a single character, as a single unit. You can't split it. It's not star and then question mark. It's star question mark, which is the lazy quantifier. So it might look a little confusing to do this, and you might say, okay, well, I don't want to do that. I just want to write a star because it's easier to read. You should pretty much always use a lazy quantifier because then you can't get the side effect from the extra T later on in the string affecting what you're capturing. And I didn't intend this, but it can be a pretty big catastrophe if you use a greedy quantifier and then you end up selecting way too much in your find replace and you end up messing up your entire wiki, because a very common example of this is if you have like an open, well, okay, so you need to escape these because bracket is a special character. But if you want to do like if you want to find a link, okay, this looks like it should match a link. So let me just undo this for a sec. So if I write like cities here, it's going to match. But then if I write like cities and skylines, what happens? Oh my god, this is a single match. That is not what you want. So if you did some control F here, you would end up replacing this entire string with the result. So that's not good. Like, for example, if we were adding an interwiki, if we wanted to say like en:cities, right? What we would end up is we'd end up with en:cities here, and this we wouldn't match this because it's selecting too much. So especially when you have links on wikis, you want to use a lazy quantifier so that you only eat the contents of one single link, okay? So that's very important to use lazy quantifiers. So now that I've completely messed up the order of topics, let's go a little bit back to OMG, all these symbols are confusing. What do pipe and parenthesis and dot and star and plus mean? So we've gone over dot and we've gone over star. So next we're going to talk about plus. So what happens? Okay, I'm gonna get rid of these now because that's not quite as relevant. So what happens when we have a plus here? So I'm gonna go back to star so that you can play find the difference, and then I'll go back to plus again. So the difference is that CT isn't matched when we have plus. Plus is exactly the same as star, but it means that there has to be at least one. Okay, so plus means one or more. Star means 0 or more. Plus means 1 or more. By the way, I don't expect you to memorize all of this. Yeah, I just Google Regular-Expressions.info every time because I can't remember what the full URL is. This will also be in the description of the video, and I just posted in the chat just now. This is your reference, okay? This reference is a little bit high level, or it's a little intense. Okay, we'll go with the word intense. So I want to find, okay, yeah, so if we look at like the dot here, there's like a lot of text, and they have a table somewhere. Where is their table? If someone can link me their table, that would be great, because I don't actually remember how to navigate to this quick reference. Okay, this is what I wanted. So they have this, and I'll post this direct link in the YouTube video description too, and I just posted in the chat. So this quick reference guide is your best friend, basically. It gives you an overview of every single symbol, and you can control F in it. So if we're like looking over here and we're like, wait, I can't remember what star is, you can do control F for star, and then you'll find it at some point. So we're not going to talk about possessive quantifiers today, so don't worry about star plus. That's a little bit more advanced, but you can see star here and you can see star question mark here, and if you control F whatever you're looking for, you will be able to find it here pretty much. And then when you like click on a topic here, you get a lot of information about it. So this is like, this website knows way more about regular expressions than I do, and its explanations are going to be longer than watching this video probably, but you can read just the parts that you're interested in, and eventually you're just going to learn so much about regular expressions by reading this website because it's the best. So all of these symbols that I'm going over them so that like you can feel a little bit comfy with them, and because I think seeing interactive examples like this is helpful. But really, I don't expect you to memorize everything. You should not try to memorize everything. There's no reason to memorize everything. What you need to do is be comfortable going through Regular-Expressions.info, reading the symbols here, and then testing them on regex101.com. I think regular expressions are like one of the biggest examples of like, you don't actually need to learn how to do anything, you just have to learn how to read the documentation. And by reading the documentation, you'll remember what to do every time. Okay, so quick aside there, and we're going to go back to we're going to go back to OMG, all these symbols are confusing. What do pipe and parenthesis and dot and star and plus mean? Okay, so we've now done dot and star and plus. We're going to do pipe next, okay? So we're gonna type cat CQT. Okay. So what's happening here? I need to write another line. I'm gonna write CQTASTO ROBG. Okay, a secret about me that I know that no one knows because no one has ever noticed how much I typo in Discord. I'm really bad at spelling. So I apologize for all of the spelling mistakes I'm making in this class because I'm sure there are many. But I do know that cat is not actually spelled CQT. Okay, I got that. But okay, so we have catastrophe here, and it's matching CQT here, and over here it's matching CAT. So what is going on? Pipe, you might be a little bit familiar with this meaning of the pipe symbol if you've done programming before, or maybe if you've done like Boolean logic, something like that. Pipe means or, okay? The fancy regular expression term for or is alternation. I don't actually know why it's called alternation, but that is what it's called in regular expressions. Honestly, I don't know why it's called this. On alternative, it's for I don't know why it's for alternative. It should just be called the or symbol. It's the or symbol. Maybe you can remember that it's an or symbol by like ors are long rectangles, long thin rectangles, and this is a long thin rectangle character. There's a really bad mnemonic device for you. So this is the or character. I'm going to try to avoid calling it alternation for the rest of this class because I think that's a dumb name that's very confusing and there's no reason to use it. But when you're reading documentation, people tend to call things by their actual names, and so you will probably see the word alternation or the act of using a pipe symbol or alternator for the pipe symbol. I'm going to call it either the pipe symbol because it's a pipe or the or symbol because what it does is or. Okay, so it's going to pick either the first one or the second one. If we do like CQT, CAT, these, I hope you can tell that these are separate colors here. Like, and let me just add another one. Oh, it doesn't. Okay, I was hoping it was gonna have like a whole rainbow palette. But anyway, these are two separate matches. Okay, and you can see if you hover it, it has match 4 and match 5, right? So this is matching CQT and this is matching CAT. Oh, I wanted to put those in the other. Okay, hold on. Okay. Oh my god. Okay, there we go. So even though we have like CAT here and then we have CQT here, like CAT CQT isn't going to match the whole thing, right? Like it really means or. It doesn't mean and or, it means or. Okay? So if you have CAT CQT, each half of this is matching a separate instance of the of our pattern here. Okay? So it really means it's like exclusive or. Okay? So pipe is more exclusive or than the circuitry meaning of or. Okay, and then finally we have parenthesis. So if I put like CAT AST question mark, then that parenthesis will group something together, and then whatever you put after it will it'll count as a single unit. Okay, so you can put a question mark here, you can put a star here, you can put a plus here, you can put plus question mark, which remember is one or more but being lazy. So if we put like another catastrophe, it's only gonna choose one of the AST. If we do star question mark, it's not gonna do anything. If we do star, it'll select as many as possible, etc. So parentheses also have another meaning, which is capture groups. But like the symbolic meaning of it is that you're grouping all of these things together. So it's pretty much what you see here. There's another special character, which is like, I don't want to go over this too much in this class. But you can, maybe I'll do like an advanced regular expressions class later on and cover stuff I didn't cover today. But if we put like A to Z here, then the brackets here will match a single character that matches what you're putting here. So we can put like a range of A to Z. The dash character means range. We could put like 0 to 9, and then if we put like a 3 here, then it'll match it. We could also just put like a list of characters. So if we say like it can be A, T, or S, then we're going to match here, we're going to match here, we're going to match here. We're not going to match here because C is not part of ATS, okay? I think that the brackets are a little bit confusing for not that much extra payoff, so I don't want to talk about it too much today. But it's important to know that brackets are a special character because brackets in MediaWiki, of course, are the syntax you use for links, and you have to escape them when you write regular expressions. So why do you have to escape the brackets? Because it has this meaning of like writing stuff inside of it and squishing that all into one character. So a metaphor for the brackets, I guess, is that dot. Whoops, I didn't mean to highlight all of that. So dot is any one character, and something in like when you put the brackets, it's also any one character, but instead of being any one character, it's only allowed to be one of the characters that matches what you put here. Okay. There's a few special meanings that you can put here, like /W is for like word characters, /S is for white space characters. There's a bunch going on, but you can read the documentation for that. So square brackets are a special character. Curly brackets are also a special character, but those are like even less important, so we're not going to talk about those at all. Okay, so the next topic after OMG, all these symbols are confusing. What do pipe and parenthesis and dot and star and plus mean? The next topic is going to be how to use capture groups. But first I want to pause and see if anyone has any questions. So if you have questions about what is a regular expression or the long topic name about OMG, all these symbols, just wait until we get how to read the docs to remember how to use Lookaround, because you are not going to remember the syntax seriously. It will not happen, and if it does, you shouldn't trust that you have it right and look it up anyway. I'm going to regret that topic name when we get there. So does anyone have any questions about the topics we've covered so far? And if so, I will answer them. And if not, we will move on to capture groups. Capture groups are probably the most important thing about regular expressions. So I want to make sure we're all on good footing before we get there. Okay, no one's saying anything. Can someone just like say something in chat so that I know chat is working and you're alive? Yay! Okay, chat is working and you're alive. Nice. Xander followed the rules. Okay, so how to use capture groups. Okay, so I said that, I don't actually know how well I'll be able to do this on regex101.com because I don't know how well they do find replace. Can you like actually do find replace here? If I like, no, enter is, okay, I might have to show capture groups in another program. So let me make a new window of Sublime Text and we'll do this in Sublime Text. New window. Okay, so that is Okay, so I'm gonna, can you guys see this? I wanna like, I thought I could like press the scroll wheel and zoom in, but maybe I can't. But maybe if I do it in VS Code instead, new window, I think VS Code will let me scroll, yeah. Okay, maybe not. Is this big enough to see if I don't like zoom in? Can you see this? Oh, you can do subs in regex 101? Okay, I don't actually use this website very often. Oh, function. Oh, substitution. Okay, fantastic. Okay, and I'll show the substitution here. Great. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to use regex 101. Okay, so moving on to the next topic, I'm going to make Alex cut that entire thing from the YouTube video so it looks like I knew exactly what I was doing. But I guess the chat will still be visible, so I'll be called out. How to use capture groups. So we have, regular expressions can be used for search, and so far we've just been searching for things. But most commonly, you use regular expressions when you're doing find replace. So we have not talked at all about the replace part, and now we're going to talk about the replace part, okay? So we're going to find cat followed by this, and then we're going to write $1 here. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's actually really confusing. We're not going to do that. We're just going to find asked, and we're going to replace it with oh, what do I want to do? Okay, here's what I want to do. Okay, I'm going to find and then I'm going to put bat. Okay, so instead of cats, we're going to have bats, but only okay, but only if we have the word catastrophe. So we're going to have batastrophes instead of catastrophes. And I'm going to get rid of, well, okay, whatever. There's not that much window, but nothing is happening below here. Okay, so what's happening? We're finding cat and we're replacing with bat. So what if we were to just do this with nothing else happening here? Then every single cat is being replaced by bat, right? But we don't want to, we only want to replace catastrophe with batastrophe. We don't want to replace cat with bat. So we're saying that catastrophe has to appear here, and if it does, then we're going to take this out of the document, okay? So we could replace this with anemone. I'm just picking like the hardest words to spell. I don't even know if that's how you spell anemone. We're gonna do banana. I know how to spell that, okay? So if we put banana here, we take this out of the document and then we totally replace with banana, right? That's how find replace works. You totally take the original out of the document and then you replace with whatever's in the replace with, or in the replace menu, in the replace field. So we could put cat here and we can replace cat with banana. Like, you know how find replace works. Okay, but again, what if we just want to replace catastrophe with, or what if we want to replace cat with bat, but only in the case that catastrophe exists. So we could just like find catastrophe and replace with batastrophe, but I needed an example here and I'm just very uncreative right now. So $1 very clearly is a catastrophe. And we can see that that's what's going on because that's what's happening. So why is this happening? Why this is happening is because of capture groups. Okay, so if we hover this, it says this is the first capturing group, right? And then over here, it's called a back reference, and it is inserting whatever we had for the first capturing group. Okay, if we change this to $2, it's a pattern error because there's only one capture group here. Okay, but if we do like this, then the first capturing group is AST, and then we can see that it's getting replaced here. There's no $2, so we can put this here. We could also we could replace, or we could swap them. Okay, so this is Batrophist, something like that. And now we're just like making up random words in the English language, and we're swapping the AST and the ROPHE. This is actually like a very common thing that I do in regular expressions, is to like capture two things and then change their order. Uh, it comes up a lot when you want to reorder things. It's pretty useful. But capture groups are not like right now. Capture groups might not seem that useful because we could just have typed catastrophe, and then here we could have like I could type the literal string here, and the same result is happening, right? So this isn't that interesting. So why do we have all of this syntax to do this whole thing with capture groups if we could literally just do find and replace? Well, so the answer is that capture groups become a lot more interesting when you put like pattern things into it. So what if we put C, A plus, and then a T here? Okay. So now we have multiple things that are matching, and in this case, it's CAT. In this case, it's CAT. In this case, it's CAT. And we want to change all of these to be BAT. Okay. So we're going to. So right now it's like deleting everything. That's why all the text just went away here. So if we want to replace with BAT, we could type BAT here, right? But this wasn't cat, this was cat. So we should have bat here. And then if we put the $1, it magically takes the first capturing group, it puts it in the first back reference. And again, you can highlight like, or you can hover like literally everything here to get all of the documentation. So if you don't know what something means, type it and then hover it and see what happens. And then you'll see everything that's going on. Okay, so why are capture groups so helpful? They're so helpful because we don't actually know what we're finding when we use the special characters that are available to us in regular expressions. And we might want to do a find replace where we're putting the something related to our find text here. So I'm going to do a more MediaWiki example. Oops. So so often we want to find something that is in the that's inside of link, like the brackets for a link, right? And maybe we have a page on our wiki that's called cat with many A's. Okay. Whoops. Okay, so we have a page called cat with many A's, and this is kind of like the landing page for cat and cat and cat and cat. And we want to find all of these occurrences, which right now some of these are red links because we shockingly, I know it's shocking, we don't have a page with a cat with like, this is 20 A's or something. We don't have a page with C followed by 20 A's followed by T. But we want to link to the general case of cat with many A's. And so we're going to do a find replace here where we make sure that we're in a link using the bracket syntax here. And remember, they're escaped because bracket is a special character in regular expressions. And then we're going to capture the entire contents of the link, which is C followed by 0 or more A's followed by a T. And then here we're going to surround this by something that links to the cat with many A's page and displays whatever we found here. So we could alternatively write something like this, where we put C and T over here. Because those are literal characters that we're finding, we can also write them in the output. Okay, so typically you're going to want to make your capture groups relatively small and then rewrite your content from the input to the output. The reason for that is that you generally want your regular expressions to like make as minimal a change as possible. So this is really a style preference. Like technically we could have written it like C A, T, and then we could have put the end of the capture group here, and we could have been like $1 here, right? This is the same output. I just find it to be a little bit harder to read when capture groups are large. So I prefer to make capture groups as small as possible. So I will always go for capturing just the A's and then like rewriting C and T outside of the capture group. Okay, so and then you can have multiple capture groups. So maybe we have like cat and friends. It's so hard to come up with examples. I really should like come up with examples ahead of time, but we're just gonna do this twice. And bat. Okay, so here what we're gonna do is we're gonna reverse this in our find replace. So we're gonna have this one, and okay, so this is we're making a wiki about Dr. Seuss fan fiction, and it has the cat and the bat instead of the cat and the hat. Okay, this is our very exciting wiki topic. And we're going to replace it with this. Okay, and this should be, there we go. This isn't as okay. It actually doesn't really matter if we write $1 or $2 here, because in either case it's just matching a bunch of A's. But you know what? This is the example we're using anyway. The point is that you can have a capture group here, you can have or you can have a capture group here, you can have a capture group here, and then you can refer to them over here. We can maybe, I don't know, we can make this an O. Right, let's just put a bunch of O's here. And then put a bunch of O's here. Okay, and then we are gonna look for an O here. Okay, so now it's actually doing something different. If we put $1 here, then the first capture group is a bunch of A's. So in each case, we're getting a bunch of A's. We get cat and bat. If we put $2 here, then we get cat and bot. If we put this here, we get caught and bot. And if we can reorder them with caught and bot here. So I apologize for the not fantastic examples, but does the concept of capture groups make sense? Do you understand that you can use parentheses to like capture characters and then replace them, or and then keep them the same when you're doing the find replace while you replace characters around the capture group while preserving the capture group using these back references $1, $2. You do not have to know the term back reference. It's good to know the term capture group because you're going to see that all the time. If you just know it as like referring to a capture group or like the $1 thing, if you call it like that, that's fine. Back reference isn't an important vocabulary word. But again, it might show up in documentation, and it'll show up if you look on regex 101 and hover something. So this is how to use capture groups. Occasionally, you might see having the syntax \2 and \1 instead of dollars. Almost always is going to be a $sign. But if that's not working for some reason, you might want to try a \, and see if \, is working in that particular program that you're using. So, okay, so let's move on to the next topic, which is how to make non-capturing groups and when you might want to. So I'm going to go back to writing cat a bunch of times. I'm going to have CT and I'm going to have catastrophe. And that looks good. Okay, so I want to do a find replace where I'm going to look for C A star T. And then I'm going to look for dot star, which is going to match, dot star is going to match until the end of the line. Okay, and then I want to replace this with $2. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm taking the CT out of the beginning of the line, or like C with as many A's as possible T, and then I'm putting the rest of the line here. Okay, But as you can see, I'm not actually using the first capture group here. Okay, that's not getting used. And let me actually give a reason for this to be a question mark. So, okay, let's add $2 and then puppy. Okay, so we're putting puppy on every single line. This is matching too much. I don't like this. Let's do /w star. No, that's still matching too much. I don't like this. I need a better example. Okay, we're gonna... Okay, we're just gonna look for, oh, I said I didn't want to use that. Okay, we're gonna look for, we'll look for A star here. Okay, or A plus. And then we're going to replace it with $2 plus puppy. Okay, so here, and then we're also gonna put a question mark here. Okay, so anytime that we have an A, we're going to replace it with the word puppy. Okay, so we have the letter A here, and we're apparently keeping the $2 because that's what I said we're doing. Okay, we're gonna okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna multiply A's. Okay, what we're doing is we're multiplying A's. And we're multiplying A's if it comes after one or more cats. Okay, cool. That's what we're doing. I don't know why we're doing this, but it's like very hard to come up with arbitrary examples in a regular expression. This is like very, very difficult to do. So C followed by 0 more A's, followed by T, happening one or more times, followed by this A plus, which is like one or more A's. This is what we're looking for. So we want to multiply A's, but only if they come after cat, and we're also going to delete all of the cats that happened before it. I don't know why we're doing this, but that's what we're doing. But here, so we need these parentheses here to modify, so that the plus can modify all of these characters at once, because like we don't want CAT, we want CAT, 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 CAT. Like it can happen as many times as we want. And to express this, we need to kind of distribute this plus over this entire thing, where it's not just like CAT plus, which would be CAT, T, 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 T. It's CAT plus where it's CAT, CAT, CAT. So we require that this plus is like applying to this entire object here. And the way that you do that is by using parentheses, and parentheses create capture groups. But in our substitution here, we're not actually using the $1 anywhere. We're just using $2. And there's like a little syntax that you can do for it, where if you put a question mark and then colon there, that doesn't make a capture group. Okay, so this question mark colon is a non-capturing group. Okay, the syntax here is a little bit similar to Lookaround syntax, and Lookaround is kind of complicated. Lookaround is the one where I have the section name that's called, or the topic name that's called, How to Read the Docs to Remember How to Use Lookaround, because you're not going to remember the syntax seriously. It will not happen, and if it does, you shouldn't trust that you have it all right and look it up anyway. Lookaround looks a little bit like this, okay? So I like to think that I like to think of this as spiritually similar to Lookaround. But the important thing is that if you put this question mark colon here, then you can use the logic of having a group that has plus applied to it, or has star applied to it, or has question mark applied to it. but it's not going to contribute to your counting up of a capture group here. And this can be very useful for a couple of reasons. One is that if you have a very complicated regular expression, you might have several sections that you need to compute net question marks or stars or pluses or whatever. And it can be hard to count like how many sections there are, because if you have like a bunch of pairs of parentheses here, like that's hard to count what's going on. So you make all of them non-capturing groups, and this isn't doing anything, but it doesn't matter how many you put before here, they're not contributing to your total. So you can edit the regular expression quite a bit when these aren't needed for the capture groups, and you don't have to worry about it. So like maybe you're editing this and you have a question mark here, and then you realize you don't actually need the question mark here, and to simplify, you just want to get rid of this. And by deleting a non-capturing group, you're not affecting the index of the later capturing groups. So that covers the why you might want to use them part. Another useful time is if you so when we talked about alternation, I did like CAT CQT, right? But what if I want to find CAT followed by CQT, and then after that I want to force there to be AST after that? Okay, so if without these parentheses, there's like no way I can do that, because this finds CQTAST, but it doesn't find CATAST. So we need these question marks here, and then we can put a non-capturing group here, and then maybe we can put, is this an R next? And then we can put an R, and we'll create this row-fee over here. So you also might want a non-capturing group when you're using alternation on just a substring. Okay, I think probably this is the most common case that I want to create a non-capturing group, is when I want alternation on a subset of the string. I'm sorry, I said alternation. I said I wouldn't say that, and then I said it. When you want an OR, when you want to use the OR operator on just a substring of the whole string, it's very useful to have a non-capturing group here. Again, I apologize for the not fantastic examples that are a little bit unrealistic there, but hopefully you get the idea of the syntax. And when it comes up when you're using find replace on your wiki, you can be like, oh, this is a real world example of that. Okay, so the next topic on the list is lazy versus greedy quantifiers, and why you probably want to use lazy most of the time. But we already talked about that. We're so cool. We're ahead of schedule. So the next topic is how to read the docs to remember how to use Lookaround, because you are not going to remember the syntax. Seriously, it will not happen, and if it does, you shouldn't trust that you have it right and look it up anyway. Hold on, I need to drink some water. Okay, I definitely wanted to time that for dramatic effect after reading the name of that section out loud for like the 7th time. So as the name of this topic may suggest to you, Lookaround syntax is not something that you'll always remember. So anytime I need to use Lookaround, I search Lookaround on Regular-Expressions.info, and then I say, okay, well, which one do I want? So we'll do a positive look ahead first, and so then I find positive look ahead here, and then I see, oh, it's question mark equals. Okay, so what is going on with this? Oh, I should zoom in so you can see it. Okay, so what's going on with this term zero length assertions? I actually typically call them zero width assertions. So I'm going to be saying zero width assertion because it's too hard to remember to say something else. But zero length assertion and zero width assertion are the same thing. Okay, so what is a zero width assertion? So I'm going to write I'm going to write like CAT, and then I'm going to write AST here. Okay, so what is going on? And actually, we're going to go back to just matching now. We're done with find replace. I mean, the reason that you would use this would be for find replace, but it doesn't require find replace to understand what's going on. So we have the word catastrophe here, right? And AST is coming over here. And so we have cat here, we have cat here. There's a bunch of cats. So why is this the only one that's being matched? And more importantly, oh my god. More importantly, why is it not also matching AST here? Okay. So, like, why is it just highlighting CAT, right? So the AST has to be here, but it's not being highlighted. Okay. So what's going on with this? So there's two parts to it. First, why does the AST have to be here? And second, why isn't the AST highlighted? So the why does the AST have to be here is covered by the assertion part of the term zero width assertion, and the why isn't the AST highlighted part is covered by the zero width part of the term zero width assertion. So we're asserting there has to be an AST here, but we're not actually going to select that. We're just going to say, I promise it exists. And this is often helpful when you're trying to do something that's like kind of complicated and very specific, and you really have to make sure that the surrounding text is correct, but you don't necessarily want to modify the surrounding text. And most of the time, when you're using a zero width assertion, especially for positive Lookaround, you could instead select quite a bit more text and then capture that quite a bit more text that you're selecting and then add that to the replace. But again, I like to have regular expressions be as low impact as possible. So the fewer characters I can match, the happier I am. So I would rather assert something about the surroundings rather than select the surroundings and then include them in my replace text. And then, of course, we also have negative Lookaround. So again, we're looking at the documentation because we're not remembering the syntax. This is not the page that I want. I wanted this one. So it's exclamation point. So if I put not AST here, so exclamation point tends to mean not when you're doing Boolean or Boolean algebra. So exclamation point means not here. So we're saying after cat, we cannot have AST. Okay, so this is selecting every instance of cat except for AST. So the negative lookarounds actually tend to be a little bit more helpful than the positive lookarounds. Okay, negative lookarounds means that you're looking around where you are and trying not to find that string, and positive means that you're looking around and you do want to find that string. So they're exact opposites of each other, right? We have the positive lookaround is saying I want to find AST here, and the negative lookaround is saying I don't want to find AST here. And in either case, in either positive lookaround or negative lookaround, it's going to be a zero width assertion. A time that you want to use positive lookaround very frequently would be like you'd want to do something like PHE. So we want to find every place that that PHE exists. Whoops, I meant to put a star here. So we want to find every place that PHE exists somewhere in the future. So when you're doing positive lookaround, generally you're going to have a dot star at the start of your lookaround. So this is saying, okay, on this line, I need to find PHE in the future. Okay, and then I could also say I need to find AST. So typically when you're doing a regular expression, you're only allowed to look at each character one time, because once you look at it, you consume that character. And if you need to know many things about the string at the same time, you're going to have to use these assertions so that you are able to assert something about the string without consuming any characters, and then later on you can consume characters and look ahead to see what's immediately there. So a time that you might want to use lookaround, and okay, so we can also use look behind. So again, we're gonna look at the documentation because we don't remember the syntax. So, okay, I have a confession. I actually do know the syntax. I use this all the time. But even though I know the syntax, you shouldn't trust that you have it right and look it up anyway. So that's what I'm doing. I also want to set an example based on the title of this talk that, or this topic, that I really do want you to look at the docs every single time that you use Lookaround, because it is so hard to remember these like random characters, and it's so easy to get it wrong, and it's so easy to make mistakes when you're doing regular expressions that I just like don't feel comfortable typing it and then checking if it's right. I'm gonna check if it's right. Okay. So we're going to say that we want, and I'm going to use something that like might be actually like MediaWiki relevant here. So I'm going to say not oh, okay. I'm going to use negative look behind, right? So the construction for positive look behind is like this, and negative look behind is this. So you have this like less than symbol, which is saying like before, and then it's the equal for positive and the exclamation point for negative. Okay, so we're doing and then again remember that this is like the non-capturing group, so putting a question mark right after a parenthesis is like what you do when you're putting something special inside of a capture group. Okay, so we're going to say we're gonna say, and then I want it like a literal pipe character, and then I'm gonna put like a dot star here with oh, I want an equal sign here. Okay. So I'm looking for there being a literal pipe character followed by, wait, what? What? Okay, I'm not sure why it's not liking that. This is okay, that's a surprise to me. I thought this is normally fine to do in, well, okay, fine. We'll do I thought this worked. Can we, whoops, can we do it at the end and have it be not fixed with? Does that work? No, we can't. Okay. So much for this example. I guess what I'll do is I'll do a positive look around. So what I want to do an example of is you want to write a regular expression, and you want to make it somewhat context aware that you know you're in a template argument right now. Okay, so I want to say like cat equals catastrophe here, and I want to ensure that we're starting out with cat equals. So maybe I'll just say that I want to oops. Uh, okay. So I'm looking for the text cat, and I'm ensuring that at the start of my regular expression, or at the start of the line, or at the start of where I see cat rather. So it doesn't have to be the start of the line. I could have like whoops. Right, so I can have other characters at the line, but at the start of where I'm finding CAT, I want to ensure that behind me I have pipe CAT equals. Okay, this is a literal pipe character, and then CAT, and then equals. And this is going to ensure that I am inside of a template parameter that has the name cat. Okay, and this is, if you need to do something like this, I would actually probably recommend not using regular expressions and instead writing a Python script using MWCleric to do a find and replace that is like template parameter specific. And maybe that'll be the next wiki class that we do, will be how to write basic find replace scripts using MWCleric that are template argument aware. But if you're using AWB to do a template argument replacement, you might want to make sure that you're in the correct template parameter, and you can do this by ensuring that this is what you see. You also could like check the opposite, where you want to. I probably you'll want to like do something with dot star here. Yeah, no, this is not going to be happy. probably negative look behind isn't gonna be the happiest thing here.
Hey, River.
Hi.
I just wanted to jump in for a second because I was searching up what you were trying to do with the any character in the look behind.
Yeah, I thought
Um,
that worked.
it does if the parser, if the regular expression library is not very strict. Regex 101 uses a strict library,
Okay, I
so
figured it was gonna be something like that. I bet if I like switched it to
because
JavaScript, it would
there is a
totally do that.
third-party Python library that does allow you to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. We can do that if we
Yeah,
change it to the JavaScript interpreter.
just want to let you know.
I didn't want to go too much into flavors of regular expressions, but okay, so I'm going to talk about flavors of regular expressions now. So everything that I've told you so far has been a complete lie. Nothing works this way. um, so what I mean by that is that you see like flavor over here. So regular expressions have flavors. I don't really know why it's called flavors. It's probably called flavors for the same reason that quarks have flavors. It means type, okay? Depending on where you're evaluating your regular expression, everything's going to behave just a little bit differently. Python is probably my least favorite. It is very annoying in some ways. And often I have no idea what flavor I'm using, okay? So you always want to test every single thing that you're doing, because just because it works in one flavor of regular expressions doesn't mean it's going to work in every flavor of regular expressions. It's a little bit like Markdown in this way, where some things that you can do on Reddit, you can't do on GitHub replies, and you can't do in Discord, and some things you can do in Discord, you can't do on GitHub, and Discord and Reddit have different versions of spoiler tags, and you really need to know which one you're using right now, because some of the complexities just don't work the way that you want them to. And it is not happy. It's not what we want to do. But that's how it works. And you're kind of just stuck with it. So yes, if we use JS based regular expressions, we're allowed to have a non-fixed width lookaround. Probably the reason for some of them being more strict about this is that lookaround is from a compiler point of view, it's pretty expensive to do a bunch of lookarounds. And so if you want your regular expression engine to be faster, you can not support variable width lookarounds. That's my guess. I'm not actually 100% sure. I'm fairly certain that in Notepad++, you can do variable width lookarounds, and Notepad++ is where I write most of my regular expressions. I like their find replace editor quite a bit. Does MediaWiki use the JS regex engine? I'm not sure. It depends probably on where you are putting the regular expressions. So also regular expressions in Lua are like a whole different thing. Like if we go to the Lua manual and then we're just gonna look pattern. So the
MediaWiki uses JavaScript.
okay. So the patterns in Lua, and I'll put this in the YouTube video also. They're similar to regular expressions, but not identical. There's a lot of differences. No alternation. Again, I use the forbidden word, but it says it here, so it's not my fault. No alternation is extremely annoying. Frontier patterns are like very confusing, but also very cool. I actually kind of love frontier patterns, but they're really confusing. We're not going to talk about them because I don't even remember how they work. I just remember that I like them a lot. And you use use percentage sign instead of a backslash, which is also just very weird. It feels weird. Oh, and then also you use a dash instead of for a lazy operator, which again is just a little weird. It's a little weird that everything is so different. So when you learn regular expressions, if you're also going to learn Lua and you want to write string patterns in Lua, you're going to learn Lua string patterns too, and that'll be fantastic. So that actually reminds me, I do want to talk very quickly about the boundary condition. So for the most part, there's like a bunch of like backslash something, and we talked briefly about like /r, /n, /w is like any alphanumeric characters, and then there's like some of them are capital, and you can do like a whole bunch of different stuff with them. And if you go to this chart, then you'll see like, I think it lists all of them. Yeah, so you can see like, you can read all of this and see what it does, and we're not going to talk about any of them except for /b. Excuse me. So /b is a boundary character, or it's a boundary assertion. It's not a character, it's an assertion. /b is a 0 with assertion, just like Lookaround. It consumes 0 space, but it says this has to be the boundary of a word. And it is so helpful. It is like the most helpful thing. Often I'm like just writing a normal find replace or something, and I'm not even using regular expressions, I'm just using normal characters. But then I want to make sure that it's whole words only, so you add a \b here. A fun IRL example of this that someone brought up at the last Wiki conference that I find very funny is that when Wizards of the Coast was releasing their first D&D manual, they decided that they wanted to take mage and rename it to wizard. So we'll go back to substitution here. So we're going to find mage, and then we're going to replace it with wizard. Okay, so we have like a mage is a magic user, and then we're going to write it does a lot of damage. Oh, that's not what we want. So they released the manual and it talked about the wizard. If we put /b here around it, around both sides, then it's whole words only. So, you know, you might run into other issues because all my characters are mages, and you're not replacing here anymore. But, you know, maybe we can put an S question mark, and then we can put a $1 here. So, you know, and then of course we have like, my mage's name is Alice, and then we're not replacing that here. Oh wait, we are replacing that here. All right, because it's a boundary. Great, fantastic. Yeah, so this probably works. I'm not sure if there's any other variants on the word mage, but you know, this should work. So if Wizards of the Coast knew regular expressions, they would have been able to do that find replace without any issues, because you put the boundary condition and then you don't run into any issues. So the moral of the story is that there are very few times that you shouldn't use boundary conditions. You almost always are going to want that \b surrounding everything that you're doing. At worst, nothing happens, and at best, you don't talk about the wizards, the Wizard of Oz. So the final thing that I want to talk about is SingleLine and MultiLine in AWB, and I actually have to open AWB to talk about this. So while I find AWB and open it, does anyone have any questions? Where do I have my AWB install? AWB. Okay, it's opening on another monitor, and I'm going to drag it over to the one you can see in a sec. So I do, yeah, so Sly says that he's never understood the purpose of that checkbox, and, you know, that's reasonable because it's very confusing. So we're going, I'm very sorry that I cannot make this any bigger. I can't zoom in here. So I'm streaming on a 1080p screen instead of a 1440p screen this time, so hopefully it shows up a little bit better than it did the last time I tried to stream AWB. But you can try following along. Okay, so Sly says it is showing up well, so I'm going to assume that everyone can see it. And I hope it's okay in the YouTube video too. Okay, so we're going to, so I have to highlight this because I have to hover these because I also never remember what this says. Do you have to highlight in the test to see what it says? Okay, yeah. So if you go into the test mode and you highlight this, then you can see, oh, I didn't talk about, okay, I need to talk about one more thing. Okay, I'm sorry. I need to talk about one more thing. So I'm going to go back to cat. So I'm going to have cat, a cat, cats. That's probably good. Okay, so I'm going to, and then we're going back to match mode. So I'm going to talk about caret cat. So this forces you to be at the start of a line. Okay. So it's caret is also, and this is spelled C-A-R-A-T, not C-A-R-O-T. The caret character is another 0 with assertion, so nothing is actually captured here. It's you just say it has to be at the start of the line. So a cat is not going to match this because there's these characters before it. Okay, if I put a space and then cat, it's also not going to match. $sign means now I have to be at the end of the line. Okay, I have no mnemonic device for why caret comes before dollar, but it does, and that's actually one thing that it does help to memorize. That caret is at the start. I guess the letter C is earlier in the alphabet than the letter D, and also the letter S if you want to say, oh, $sign looks like an S. But I don't know, then I feel like you might accidentally remember S is for start, which is not true. S is for ends. Good luck remembering this, but you'll hopefully use it enough that it will just become second nature. So caret means start of the line, $sign means end of the line. If we delete this, then it's going to match all of the cats that are at the end of the line. And then if we delete this, it'll match all of the carets or all of the cats that are at the start of the line. And if we have both of them, then the cat has to take up the entire line. Okay, so that's like that's the important things about caret and $sign. So you might have like, so I'm going to put the same example here into AWB. So this is a text to search. Oh, and it obviously AWB is just terrible, so it's not going to copy any of my new lines. I absolutely love that. So I'm going to find cat and I'm going to replace with bunny. And it doesn't do a live replace. You have to click the thing. Okay, so dude, what? Why is this? Do I have like an extra blank line here or something? Okay, there we go. Okay, I don't. Oh, this is supposed to be a cat like this. Okay. Cool. So we're replacing all of the cats with bunnies. So we're now going to insist that it is on the that it's at the start of the line, and then we're going to do this replace. And right now so it probably like should have replaced this one, right? Because we said that caret is at the start of the line, but by default, AWB says, okay, caret isn't the start of a line; it's the start of your entire document. If you select multi-line and then you replace it, then it has like the normal meaning. So I can put like, let me just put another cat in the middle, so that we see it's doing all of the, it's replacing all of the bunnies or all of the cats with bunnies. And if we don't do multi-line, then it's gonna undo that. Okay, so that's what multi-line means. So basically, multi-line is saying like my input has many lines in it, and I want you to treat it as a series of lines instead of a single block of text. Okay, for the purpose of caret and $sign. And I didn't show $sign, but I mean it's gonna do the same thing, right? If we do the $sign here, it replaces them all, and if we get rid of multi-line, it's not going to replace anything because at the end of our document we have cats and not cat, and so nothing ends the document. So typically you are going to want multi-line selected. And again, if you go to, can I not see this without being in the tester? Oh, okay, I see. So if you go to the replace special window here, which I have the tester open so I can't see it, you click on test over here. From the find replace window, you click test, and then you hover it. It's going to tell you the explanation here. So it says changes the meaning of caret and $sign. So then the other one is single line, and this is, so I'm going to look for like dot star cat. I'll select this. I'm just gonna replace dot star with cat. And Oh, okay. Well, that's weird. What if we undo single line? Okay, well, that's probably what I wanted. But what exactly is going on here? So, dot star at the start of the line, I'm looking for 0 or more characters, as many as possible. Remember, star is greedy. So I'm going to look for as many characters as I possibly can find before cat, and then I'm going to replace that with bunny. So if you have single line, and we don't have any carrots or dollars in this case, so uh, we don't care about multi-line, but we are caring about single line now. Okay. So I'm going to take cat and I'm going to replace it with bunny. And this is going to do the replacement on every single line. So it's replacing every single cat with bunny, and it's also getting rid of all of the text on the line before bunny, or sorry, before cat, and then it's deleting all of the dot star that it finds before cat, and then you're getting bunny. So on every line we get bunny, 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 bunnies. If I put like kitten here, and then I do the replace, it's not going to replace that because there's no cat on this line. But if I put like kitten, cat, cat, then it's going to replace it again. Okay. So what happens when I change this to single line and then I do the replace? Oh, well, okay. So actually what's happening here is it's saying, well, the dot star actually not only can that match all of the characters on a line, but it can actually also match new lines. So we're looking for everything before cat, but we're actually looking for everything before the last cat in the entire document, because remember that dot star is greedy. If we put a question mark here, then it's going to behave very differently because it's looking for as few characters as possible before it finds cat. But if we have it be greedy, then it's looking for as many characters as it can find before cat. And so this greedy versus lazy modifier can be very different. I think typically what you would want if you were doing something like this would actually be this lazy modifier output. If we get rid of the single line, then okay, that's actually slightly weird behavior to me. So okay, cool. So single line treats your document as if there's no such thing as new line characters, and so new line characters aren't special, and you just want to find replace everything when you do dot star and not be bounded at new lines. Typically, you're going to want only one of these selected at a time, and usually it's going to be multi-line and not single line. But if I said that the last topic was called how to read the docs to remember how to use Lookaround because you are not going to remember this syntax seriously, it will not happen, and if it does, you shouldn't trust that you have it right and look it up anyway, then this section is really how to read the hover text for regex options in AWP inside of the regex tester to remember how to use single line and multi-line, because you aren't going to remember the syntax, these words, seriously, it will not happen. And if it does, you shouldn't trust that you have it right and look it up anyway. So really, I cannot keep these straight. I have no idea which one is which unless I'm literally reading it right now. Just look up in the tester, okay? And it's a little bit hidden because let me just close out of this, and yes, let's apply our changes. So hovering over here doesn't do anything. This is a very big complaint that I have about AWB. You should be able to hover it here and see what multi-line and single line do, but alas, that doesn't work. You have to go into the tester, and then you can hover multi-line mode and single line mode, and you need to check every single time. This is a very big complaint I have about AWB. I did say a very big complaint, not like my only very big complaint, but I do have a lot of complaints about AWB. My complaints about AWB are probably slightly less in volume than PCJ's complaints about AWB. I think he hates AWB more than I do, but I don't like AWB very much. This is one of my major complaints. I don't like having confusing words that make no sense and then no definition about it. It's not fantastic. So all right, that was quite a bit. I'm kind of out of topics now. So does anyone have any questions? Is there anything I didn't talk about that you want me to talk about? Are there any finder places that you want to do on your own wiki right now and you want help creating them in the last bit of time that we have in this class? Mostly you need to know how to apply it to the wiki now. Okay, so there's two options. The first one is the replace text extension. I do not love the replace text extension and I don't recommend it. So don't go with that option. The second option is AutoWikiBrowser. And I said I wasn't going to talk about AutoWikiBrowser, but I guess I lied a bunch, and I'm going to talk a bit about AutoWikiBrowser. So there's a tutorial on the support wiki that goes over most stuff, but since I have it open right now, I'll just quickly walk through what you need to do on the UI. So when you first open it, you'll not be logged in, and so you'll see like this red user here. You can click that. You can choose your. You'll have to set up an account, so you'll click Add, and um, you'll put in your username, and then you'll put in the bot password here. This will be something called like Rheingold River at AWB. So if I name my bot password AWB, then that'll go in the username space. And then the password is going to be like a very long string of tokens, probably, I don't know, it's like 30 or 40 tokens long, or 30 or 40 characters long, that you will get at special bot passwords. You'll put it in here, you'll save it, and then after you've added it and saved it, then you'll be able to double click one of these and log in. So then it should say your name down here. Actually, before you do that, you're going to have to set up a site. You might be able to click over here prior to having set up a single site, but just in case that doesn't work, you go to preferences and then you go to site. You're going to want to say a custom project here, and then you're going to choose HTTPS, and then you're going to put in the URL here. If you are currently in onboarding, there's a little bit extra that you have to do, and I can't show you that here because I'm not going to tell you the onboarding password. But you will basically modify the support URL here to include the user pass before it, and then it knows how to get past the authentication there. And if you need to do that and you need help, you can ask in the onboarding server. Alternatively, you can choose to release the wiki earlier so that it's a little bit easier to connect for automated actions. That's also an option. So once you're connected to a site, then you're going to want to make a list of pages here. You should read all of the options here because they're named a little bit randomly, and if you just rely on alphabetical order to think that you can find what you're looking for, it might be called something very different from what you expect. So you make a page list, then you can populate it by, so we want to do like what links to, whatever you type here. You make a list, it'll populate the list. Then you're going to want to enable find and replace. You make your rule here. You can add rules. You can delete rules. If you make a mistake, you can press Control Z, and if you press Control Z, then it will delete your rule. So don't press Control Z. I like to unbind Control Z altogether in my auto hotkey, and I will put the syntax that I use for that in the YouTube description. I'm saying that I'll put things in the YouTube description. Really, Alex is like my producer, so he'll put everything in the YouTube description. But I'll find it right after I talk about this. I'll also find it and post it into the chat, but I don't want to interrupt right now to find it. You should unbind Control Z so that you don't like delete rules on accident when you're trying to do undo. So you do your find and replace. There's no save button. There's just close. It automatically saves everything that you do, including accidentally deleting your rule because you press Control Z. So that's fun. So you have the advanced settings. Don't use the normal settings. The normal settings are very confusing, and the advanced settings are easier to use than the normal settings because that makes a lot of sense. So then you're going to want to go to the start page, and you can. So one thing that you have to do is this apply changes automatically needs to be selected, because if it's not selected, then you're going to do a bot, or you're going to do a null edit. So when it's not selected, you're doing null edits. When it's selected, you're doing edits. There's absolutely no way to see on the screen if it's selected or not, so you have to open the menu and check. So then you can press start, and when you press start, it'll show you a difference up here. And then you can either stop because it looks wrong, or you can click save. You can do that a few times, and you can tell, okay, I think I'm doing the right thing now. Then you go over to the bots tab, autosave. I would delay 1 second between edits, and then click start again, and then it will automatically advance through the pages without you needing to click save every time. But you should never, ever, ever do that unless you have previously checked a few pages manually without this autosave enabled. And you can also put the summary here. So you might want to put like replaced cat with bunny. And then it will save the summary there. So that is a quick introduction to AWB, which I thought I wouldn't cover, but I did. So that's fun. Sly is saying that you should also ensure the status of bot and admin at the bottom left once you log in are what you expect. Yeah, so you're not required to use a bot account in order to make AWB edits. And actually what I like to do is when I'm manually saving, I like to do those edits up myself. And once I start auto saving, then I do the edits as my bot. Editing as a bot means that your changes won't show up in recent changes, and I don't like editing the wiki without any of the changes showing up in recent changes, so I want a few of them to show up there. So I like saving the first couple edits as myself so that I'm notifying people that this mass change has happened. But then if I'm making 15,000 edits, I don't want 15,000 edits in recent changes. I want like 20 edits in recent changes. So after the first 20 or so, when I'm no longer checking manually, I switch to my bot, and then I let my bot auto advance through the rest of the pages. Admin might be needed if you're editing protected pages, but if you're not editing protected pages, then it's not needed. You can have just bot and not admin. And I'll post another article in the chat, which will also go into the YouTube video description. But here's an article about bot passwords and how confusing all of the terminology is. But the terminology is a little bit confusing, but the actual things to do aren't that confusing. It's just the words for them that are confusing. All right, so that is regular expression class. Thanks everyone for watching. If you want to see another event and you have a particular topic in mind, let us know in the events channel in the WikiGG Discord server. Thanks for coming to the event, and I will see you next time.